Welcome to another video, guys. Vicious Syndicate outdid themselves again, and they brought us 45 fresh new decks to be trying on day 1 of Cataclysm. So in this video I'm gonna go over 5 of them, which I will be playtesting today as soon as the expansion comes out, and you can be sure I'll do my best to give you detailed guides and gameplay for each of those, so be on the lookout for them. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do, a like and subscribe would be awesome, and don't forget to check me out live on Twitch each Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday, and I will be live today once the expansion launches so we can start finding the best new decks. And speaking of finding new best decks, HSReplay is doing a huge promotion on their half-a-year bundle, and you can be grabbing all of their products for Arena, Standard, and Battlegrounds for only $5 a month, which is really a steal, so definitely give them a check if you really want to be playing the best out of the best. But now, let's get into the decks.
You are not prepared!
So, if you guys been paying attention, you guys already know I will be playing some Death Knight tonight, because I really do want to be playing a lot of that class. I'm still missing the 1000 portrait for it. It's the only one I am missing. So, whenever there's some good Death Knight decks to be playing, God knows I'm playing them. And Vicious Syndicate have given us 4 different options to be going for. Fair enough, Blood Control Death Knight, which definitely sounds tempting. Hand Buff Imbue Death Knight, which I'm not sure really is going to work that well. Chow Unholy Death Knight looks pretty decent. And also Dragon Frost Death Knight, which I'm not a big believer of, but yeah, the first deck I'm gonna be trying is probably gonna be fair enough Blood Control Death Knight. And this is a Herald deck with Onyxia and whatnot. Definitely looks pretty strong, and the whole point is to reach yourself your Onyxia turn, which is such a big stat dump, and also you will be getting yourself quite a lot of health gain thanks to the effect this card gives. And you're not only gaining health from the minions you play, you also do gain health if you actually smack your face into something big that is not gonna take health, it's actually gonna give you health, which is kind of cool. Another really cool card in this would be Memoriam Manifest, which is an old card, but it really does fit well in here because Onyxia is indeed your most expensive undead. So with this thing, you will be getting yourself another pair of Onyxias, which is gonna be really solid all around. It's gonna summon you back the appendages, all of that good stuff, so it should be huge. Just be careful not to play a bigger undead. I'm not even sure that we have a bigger undead than Onyxia right now. We probably do, so depending on the minions this thing gives you, be careful not to play another 9 mana or even a 10 mana undead, because that's gonna mess up your Memoriam Manifest. We also have plenty of other new cards like Shadow Informant, which proved to be a super good staple card for most classes. The Herald package for Death Knight is also looking pretty decent, with Obsessive Technician, Envoy of the End, and also Experimental Animation, so all around you do have yourself some good stuff. Ultraxion is in here, which is gonna be a staple for any Herald deck, and we even have Viranov in here, so if you are planning on changing some minions, for instance, I was actually considering maybe we should change a Blob of Tar for another Infested Breath or something like that. This is gonna mess up your Varanov. He does need 100 cost of your minions for him to be giving 100 stats amongst all of the minions in your deck, and this could be a pretty good stat dump for you. If you play it on turn 5 or 6, this is really gonna be powerful, but even if you play it later, that just means less minions are gonna get more stats, so that can also be pretty sick. So yeah, I will give this deck a try, probably the first one I play tonight, so be on the lookout for that. And another Death Knight deck, which I'm gonna do an honorable mention for, would be the Chow Unholy Death Knight, which looks pretty close to the triple Unholy Death Knight we played on the Theory Crafting stream, and we all saw how strong that was. And in any new meta, aggressive decks like this really do thrive, so I would not be surprised if this thing turns out to be even more busted, but it looks a little bit too similar to what we've already played, so nothing too crazy about it. It does have a couple of Talanji's Last Stand, and a couple of Chow Downs, a couple of actually just a single Claw, and a couple of Carrier Whelps, so not that many new cards, nothing out of the ordinary, but it definitely looks like a strong package, so it might be worth a shot, especially for players that don't open too much packs. This would be a pretty accessible deck for most, and honestly, Chow Down is probably not that important for you to run, so you could try to be running something a little bit cheaper, maybe something older. For Demon Hunter, we have Broxigar Herald Demon Hunter, Spell Herald Demon Hunter, Cataclysm Spell, and also Dragon Aggro. And from these, I definitely did like the Herald package for Demon Hunter. I will probably be playing the Broxigar Herald Demon Hunter, and this is how it looks like up close. The whole point of the deck is to survive long enough so you can actually get yourself a Shara, which gives your hero Wind Fury, and also the minions next to her give your hero extra attack. So you could literally be having 16 attack on your face, even as soon as turn 7 if you got got lucky with the heralds, but if you do actually do a little bit of setting up, like things like Grim Harvest, you can get yourself the free attack dog in a couple of turns. If you already have yourself an Axe of Cenarius equipped, or if you have mana to actually play things like Press the Advantage, your hero power, that kind of stuff, that would actually give you a lot of extra damage and a lot of extra OTK potential, like literally 30 plus damage like that, because you can also just use another herald card like Felon Fusion or something, and that is gonna give you another +4 if you already heralded 4 times, so that can be pretty sick. Again, we have Ultraxion, again we have Deathwing, and yeah, Ashara on curve can be absolutely massive. You do actually have a decent amount of chip damage throughout the turns. After all, that is what you're doing when you're heralding. First you're gaining 1 attack, then 2, then 4, and all of that damage is probably gonna be waltz and face, so there is that. The deck doesn't have too much in terms of healing, however. I mean, you will get a ton of healing if you actually manage to get yourself the lifesteal Felon Fusion when you actually do have Ashara on the board, but that is gonna be at least 9 mana worth of combo, and you're probably gonna want to be playing that Felon Fusion a lot earlier than that, but it still could give you a little bit of chunk of lifesteal, and same can be said for things like Illidari Studies. You could be finding a little bit of healing from there, and I guess the Hive Mind can also help, but all around you are kind of susceptible to aggression, to burn damage, that kind of stuff, so be careful. The deck does have a ton of card draw with things like Broxigar's Last Stand. Also, we do have Remnant of Rage, which recently got nerfed. Blood Mage Thanos can help with the card draw, Illidari Studies, the Hive map, and obviously Broxigar as well is gonna give you a good chunk. But this deck is not really trying to play Broxigar as much, even though you probably will given all that card draw, but obviously the main point of the deck is to slap people with a Ashara at the end, and this might actually increase the stocks for things like freezing effects in the game, so if you are playing against a deck like this, do what you can to find yourself some Frostbolt, some Death Knight freeze cards, that kind of stuff, because at some point you're probably gonna want to perma-freeze the opponent's face while you actually kill him. After that, we have Druid with the Wicker Fang token Druid, which I'm eyeballing. A Veranov Dragon Druid is interesting, Cataclysm Imbued Druid, and Spell Merifra Druid, which is also another interesting new deck, but I myself will probably be going with the Wicker Fang token Druid because, again, the Fury Crafting showed how strong this deck is gonna be, and I believe day one of the meta is definitely gonna be very susceptible to a tokeny annoying deck like this. This is what it looks like up close, and I'm not completely sure that the Holy Egg Bearers do have a place in this one. After all, we have 2 egg bearers and only 2 eggs, and to be fair, the eggs are not really gonna end the game or anything like that, so maybe a single copy of the egg bearer would be the better way to go, but that's just my 2 cents on the matter. Going through the cards, we do have things like Wickerfang, obviously, and even Ulfar, which is an interesting inclusion. Might be a little bit too expensive, but we'll see. Panther Mask is also in here, which is kind of weird, but it's definitely not a bad card, giving you a lot of extra stats for only 4 mana, and also a couple of card draw, which is something you are going to be begging for. The new Shattered Wildwood Circle is absolutely amazing in this one because you don't have too much expensive stuff, so unshattering these is not that hard. Overheat is pretty good, giving you a lot of extra stats for your idiots. The Ravenous Flock helps you actually set up the board, so even if you don't have a board, you just play this, and the turn after you get to buff him. The only downside is you don't get to attack with those, but if you buff him out of range for some board clears, you eventually will. Power of the Wild also gives you a lot of buffs. The Moss Binding is also pretty cool. Mark of the Wild even makes the cut here. The Long Neck Egg, which I already talked about and feels a little bit on the weird side. Hatchery Helper is also pretty busted in here, by the way, giving you taunts +1/+2. Just make sure not to be buffing in other way, shape, or form before you actually play this, so it's not out of range, and this is a great way to actually buff your eggs as well. The Felwood Treant gives you a lot of extra mana. The Vibrant Scroll is pretty cool with the tokens, Living Roots, and Crystalline Cub, which is also pretty nice. It's an interesting deck. I really did like the Dragon version of this deck as well, however, so I don't know. This is probably gonna be good, but maybe the Dragon variant of this deck is still gonna be better. The one we saw very similar version of on the Fury Crafting, on the pre-release Brawl, that kind of stuff might also be pretty worth it. For Hunter, I'm not a big believer Hunter is gonna be amazing, even though Dragon Hunter looked amazing on paper. When I tried it on the Fury Crafting, it really was not that strong, but maybe it's just not figured out yet, so I would not throw the hat on it just yet. But yeah, if you're gonna be playing Hunter, maybe Veranov Dragon Hunter is gonna be the way to go. Face Hunter apparently is gonna have a shot at it. Guaranteed Pickwest is sounding interesting, and also Veranov Imbue Hunter could be kind of cool too, but my money would be on the Veranov Dragon Hunter if something's gonna work for Hunter from the new stuff. Moving down to Mage, however, spell damage burn Mage. We saw on the Brawl how strong it's gonna be, and I will give it a shot today as well. Fire Elemental Mage is up there, Cataclysm Quest Mage, and also Cataclysm Imbue Mage, all definitely worth checking out, but I will be concentrating on the spell damage burn Mage. You can check out the rest from the Vicious Syndicate link I will have in the description. And here's what the burn Mage is looking like. It's kind of different from the one we had on the Theory Crafting stream, but to be fair, the cards are also a little bit different that we have access to. And the really cool cards in here would be Archmage Calic, as well as the new Shattered card, Arcane Flow, which doubles up all the spell damage it receives, because once you unshattered it, you're also going to be dealing the damage to the face twice, and any spell damage basically gives you +2 damage instead of only 1. We also have things like Battlefield Blaster, which is probably going to be best on the Arcane Flow after it unshatters. But actually, I wonder if you play this on turn 3 before it's unshattered and you give it on one of the pieces, after it combines, would that actually give the spell damage to the whole card? I'm thinking no, but a man can dream. Maybe it's going to be working like that, who knows? I guess playtesting that all this time could have helped to answer that, but if anybody knows in the comments, do let us know. The new Spellweaver Brilliance is also pretty awesome, and this thing gets the drop down to 0 fairly early, like literally as soon as turn 3 you could be dropping it if the opponent gives you a good option for something like turn 1 Time Twisted Seer into a turn 2 Arcane Barrage if the opponent wasn't careful and gave you 3 options to attack. That literally gives you enough damage to actually drop 0 mana Spellweavers as soon as turn 2 if the stars really align, but obviously turn 3, turn 4, turn 5 would be much more realistic for you. The new Unstable Spellcaster is also interesting, basically giving you a 4/10 literally as soon as turn 3 sometimes, but to be fair, how are you gonna pull that one off with this deck? Not really possible, because A, you need the coin, and B, you need somehow to deal extra damage, so it's gonna be at least turn 4, unless we have some mana cheat somehow, but this one does not possess it, I think. Maybe somehow from Rune Orb, probably not. Either way, it is what it is. Smoldering Grove is gonna help you with a ton of card draw. The Rune Orb gives you Discover. This Raincaller was absolutely busted, by the way. If you leave this guy unchecked, he really does snowball a lot. Frostbolts are gonna help you with extra damage. Dalnos with card draw and spell damage. The new Winter Spring Whelp is kinda cool. Violet Spellwing also helps. The Time Twisted is actually surprisingly easy to pull off the +2 spell damage with, and even on turn 7 or turn 6, hell, you could just play this guy, give him a First Flame on him, and double up Arcane Flow like that with +4 damage, which could be huge, so there is that. So yeah, the deck looks very potent. Give it a try if you want. It doesn't look that expensive, only Calic is the legendary in here you need to be worrying about, so all around it should be good. As for the other classes, we have Pally with Viranov hand buff, Turnodin, which kind of looks interesting. Mauler Aura Pally is also up there, Cataclysm Imbue, and also Inspiring Aggro Pally, all definitely worth a check, but I will probably not be slapping Pallies today. Same thing goes for Priest. Burning Light Priest is up there, Umbra Quest Priest, Cataclysm Imbue, and also Dragon hand buff. Sounds interesting, would not play it though today. As for Rogue, we have Mistress Herald Rogue, Mistress Imbue Rogue, Mistress Ashamane Rogue, and Blasting Burn Rogue. That sounds scary. Hope it's not, but it might. And moving down to Shaman, we saw that Herald Shaman was super good. This Control Herald Shaman I was actually thinking about playing today, but the list did not spark too much joy for me, so I don't know about that. Overload Herald Shaman is another take on the Herald action. There's also Overload Elemental and Spell Damage Burn, which all sound interesting. Moving down to Warlock, we have Egg Herald Warlock, which sounds good, but in reality, I don't know, Cho'Gall just feels like he needs a buff. He is just a bunch of stats that really do nothing helping you surviving or advancing on the board in a reasonable way. Like, if Cho'Gall doesn't have something like a taunt on himself, like a lifesteal, like a rush at least, I don't think he's gonna be that strong way things are going, even though there are some potential ways to actually cheat him out a lot sooner than you're supposed to. I'm still not completely sold. It's gonna be a good meta deck, but time will tell. Diversion Herald Warlock is also an option, Classic Egglock, Animancer Egg Warlock, and heck, even Dragon Shred Warlock. We have 5 options for Warlock. Vicious Syndicate favorite, no doubt. And last but definitely not least, we have Warrior with Enraged Herald Warrior, which I will give a shot at today. But there's also Cataclysm Quest Warrior, Blazing Patron Warrior, and Varanov Dragon Warrior. Sounds interesting for sure. Here's what Enraged Herald Warrior looks like. It does have a lot of obviously Enrage action and obviously a lot of Herald action, because that's in the name of the deck, guys. What else would it be? The new Torch card really does look absolutely busted, and this thing is gonna give you so much removal it's not even funny. The Living Flame is gonna help you with the card draw. The new Searing Fissure also helps a lot, and this thing deals damage to your stuff as well, so easier to enrage your own things and also get yourself extra card draw out of Acolyte. The shield block helps with the cycle. The Herald package looks pretty good for a warrior with the Cataclysmic War Axe, with the Scorching Ravager, which gives you rush on your Herald guys, and your Herald guys do have Death Rattle, deal 2 damage. They start as a 2-1, then a 4-2, and at the end an 8-4, with 2, 4, and 8 damage Death Rattle, which with the rush could be pretty sick. Envoy of the End also is in here. For Glory gives you a lot of card draw. Ultraxion helps you with heralding and also discounting your Deathwing. And Ragnaros at the end, definitely amazing. As soon as you play this guy fully herald, you're going to be dealing 16 damage towards enemies, so if it's an empty board, that's half an OTK right there. It does look cool. I will be giving it a shot, so be on the lookout for a guide about it really soon. But until then, that's gonna be it. Again, huge thank you to Vicious Syndicate for doing this huge article. Definitely support them. Check their site out. They do also have some premier features you could spend a few dollars on if you wish to support them. They have a very vibrant Discord, so definitely support them any way you can. They definitely deserve it. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, a like and subscribe would be awesome. And don't forget to check me out live on Twitch. Do let me know in the comments which deck you can't wait to try tonight, and do let me know actually how it went after you tried it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.